Yesterday, Mortal Kombat 1 had a massive update. The really strong characters got nerfed and some weak characters got buffed. As for Sub-Zero, he got ignored completely. You could even argue he got nerfed, which definitely sucks, but on the bright side, Sub-Zero did win a big tournament recently, which proves his tools can go the distance, defeat top-tier characters, and even win at the competitive level. As mentioned in my previous video, Sub-Zero definitely does deserve some buffs, but for now, let's discuss how to succeed with Sub-Zero's kit regardless of his shortcomings. First off, we need to address where Sub-Zero is lacking. His damage is below average, his speed is below average, he's got a bunch of gaps in his strings, and finally, his default mix-ups are a bit lacking. In today's video, we're going to discuss how to compensate for all of this, and please post any Sub-Zero tips you have in the comments down below, and let's get started. But first, did you know I'm sponsored by GamerSubs, just like Moist Critical, Meat Canyon, and every other cool YouTuber? If you buy any tubs, you get their brand new Demonic Embrace cup for free. But it gets better. If you use code UNDERDOG with any of your purchases, you get 10% off. That's my gift to you, and every purchase helps support the channel directly. If we make enough sales with that code UNDERDOG, I get to design one of the cups. Can you even imagine it? A Mortal Kombat themed cup? Because I can. Let's make it happen. Back to the video. In my previous video, I showed some ways to get good damage with Sub-Zero, but it turns out there's actually a better combo that can maximize your damage even more. Check this out. Jump straight up, then on the way down, do the ice clone, hold up forward, and then end the combo how you normally would, and look at that, we're getting 36% with no meter required, which is good because Sub-Zero's meter damage is quite bad. However, if you do want to spin the bar, here's what that damage would look like. Now we're getting around 37% damage, which isn't great, but keep in mind after the update, the high damage characters have been nerfed, and now they're getting 42% for the same resources, 1 bar and 1 cameo summon. Or in other words, a difference of 5%, which is this. Look at the health bar, that's the difference the high damage characters are getting to Sub-Zero most of the time for the same resources. And don't get me wrong, it sucks that Sub-Zero's damage was nerfed so heavily when the game finally released. I get it, but it's also important to have some perspective and understand the damage difference between Raiden and Sub-Zero is pretty much this right now. And the same is true for Baraka and a couple other high damage characters. The kings of damage right now are Melina and Johnny Cage. And funny enough, one of the odd benefits of playing Sub-Zero is that because his combos are so long, Serena's cameo ability is almost recharged by the time your combo is done. Or in other words, it's not a terrible idea to use Serena twice in the same combo if you really do want to go for damage. And of course this string is not the most damaging way to start combos, but it is a reliable hit confirm. And in the event that you do get to go for a max punish combo, you want to start the combo off with Circle instead, because not only does this move do more damage, but it keeps the opponent close enough that you can jump over their head and land a jumping punch, which of course adds more damage, and overall the damage you get looks something like this. And look at that, 38% for 1 cameo summon and 1 bar of meter. It's not great, but it's better than 36 or 37%, that's for sure. And then once you have the opponent cornered, you're getting even more damage. Now of course you don't need Serena, I just find she pairs super well with Sub-Zero, and in fact the player who won the tournament was using Serena with Sub-Zero, so this pairing does work pretty well. As you can see, Sub-Zero's damage is low, but there are ways to maximize his combos and compensate for his below average damage, and of course Serena can be called in after his overhead or his low attack for a decent mix-up. Yes, the overhead is much slower and reactable, but trust me, it lands more often than you might think. And on top of that, Serena can make it much tougher to punish when blocked, though it's not impossible. If the opponent has Fatal Blow, it's really easy to punish Serena, and also theoretically, any character can punish Serena by using armored attacks combined with cameos, but honestly, I've never seen this even at the tournament level. And as a result, against most players online, Serena's gonna be pretty good at keeping you safe. The most that's gonna happen is the opponent's gonna pop you in the legs or maybe sweep you, do something that keeps them low to the ground, but they're not gonna full combo punish you. But if you want to make sure that you can never be punished ever, then certain cameos like Cyrax or even Goro can be fantastic. There's plenty of ambush attacks in this game that can keep Sub-Zero safe after his mix-ups. And then on top of that, these cameo summons can also help mitigate his gaps as well. But next up, let's talk about throws. I find that not enough players are abusing throws in this game. Every single time you grab the opponent, it's a 50-50 and they have to guess, and just 2 or 3 throws adds up really quickly, over 30% in fact, which is basically 1/3 of the opponent's health. So even though Sub-Zero's overhead is reactable and his low string has some gaps in it, the throw is just as good as anyone else, and you definitely want to use it to make up for Sub-Zero's shortcomings. In fact, here's something fun. You can end your combo with a Cyrax setup and then detonate just as you hit the opponent, and look at that, you're getting 140. And in the corner, you get a full combo off the forward throw, which is pretty awesome if you ask me. With the help of cameos, Sub-Zero can get a bunch of new mix-ups that he otherwise wouldn't have. And then of course Cyrax's throw can extend combos anyway, as long as you have 2 meters to burn, which this is Sub-Zero we're talking about. His metered attacks normally suck, so as a result you're often going to have meter lying around to burn. And finally, it's worth mentioning that Cyrax gives Sub-Zero a 50% damage combo in the corner. It's definitely not easy and going to take some practice, but there it is. Cyrax gives Sub-Zero 50% damage combos and can remove the gaps in his strings, gives him new mix-ups off his throw, all that awesome stuff. And then finally we have Kung Lao, the most popular cameo in the game right now, because his low hat toss gives every character a hard to block overhead low combo starter. And of course this option is fantastic for Sub-Zero. End your combo a bit early, set up the low hat, and then go for the hard to block overhead low combo starter. Kung Lao's low hat is amazing, and for the cherry on top, it can also make your overhead attempts safe on block. If the overhead lands, then simply wait to release the hat, but if it's blocked, then release the hat right away. If used properly, this hat not only keeps you safe, but can even make you plus, even when done after really unsafe mix-ups or really unsafe special moves. And now finally, it's time to talk about speed. Sub-Zero is admittedly quite slow. I have no idea why NetherRealm felt the need to make his forward 1 so slow on startup, but if I had to guess, it's because they want this to be a whiff punish instead of a fast mid that can challenge in the neutral. Instead, that's what his back 3 is likely meant for. It's 13 frames, which is 1 frame slower than average of 12 frames, and then if you do the full string, there's plenty of cameo characters that extend the combo. In my honest opinion, this back 3 really should be 12 frames or even 11 frames, but here we are, and until it gets updated, we have to deal with it. And if I'm being honest, forward 1-2 is still the better string in many situations because it's an easier hit confirm, it does not have any gaps, and even though it is 2 frames slower, keep in mind that after landing a down 1, you're plus 11, which means the opponent does have to block this. There's not really any escape. In other words, if your opponent ever goes for a down 1 and you block it, you can guarantee your own down 1 and then force them to block this or go for a throw. Once again, throws are the best friend of low tier characters. You have to use them a lot. And also don't forget that certain cameos give you a full combo off these throws. So yeah, throw all the time with Sub-Zero. It's a good idea because once you start throwing all the time, the opponent's gonna start ducking, and once they start neutral ducking, you can catch them with this mid and get a full combo going. Honestly, this video could go on for hours, right? There's a bunch of different theories and ways that we could compensate for Sub-Zero's lacking abilities, but instead I'm going to pass the torch onto you. Please post any tips you have for Sub-Zero in the comment section down below and let's learn together. Even though Sub-Zero is lacking and definitely low tier, I do not think he's a terrible character, and I also believe you can win with him consistently if you practice how to compensate for his shortcomings. There's a big difference between being low tier and being terrible. If Sub-Zero was absolute garbage, then he wouldn't have won a tournament against the top tier characters against skilled players. It's as simple as that. I still love playing Sub-Zero, even though I agree that he deserves buffs. His meter damage needs to go up, he should be faster and have less gaps, but until then, all we can do is get better with what we have, and the proof is there that at the highest level of play, Sub-Zero can still win. Thanks for watching everyone, and I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please leave a like down below, it helps my channel out a ton, and then finish that combo by subscribing and ringing that bell so you never miss any future videos. Make sure to come back next time, and as always, stay underdogs.